The maintenance shaft was cramped, dark, and reeked of industrial lubricant. Zara pressed herself against the cold metal wall, her violet skin barely visible in the dim emergency lighting. Through the grating above, she could hear the heavy footsteps of the security patrol passing by. Her heart, or rather, the three-chambered organ that served the same purpose, hammered against her ribs as she waited for the danger to pass. She hated this place. She hated Earth with every fiber of her being. It had been 6 months since she'd been brought here against her will, sold by traffickers who saw her as nothing more than exotic merchandise. The humans who'd purchased her claimed they were rescuing her, but Zara knew better. She was a curiosity, a specimen, something to be studied and displayed at their xenobiology research facility in Nevada. The footsteps faded, and Zara allowed herself a small breath of relief. She'd been planning this escape for weeks, memorizing guard rotations, stealing access codes, and hoarding supplies. Tonight was her chance. The facility would be operating with a skeleton crew due to some human holiday, Christmas, they called it. She crawled through the shaft, her elongated fingers finding purchase on the smooth metal. Her species, the Karathi, had evolved on a world of towering crystal formations and vertical cities. Climbing came as naturally to her as walking did to humans. The shaft opened into a storage room, and she dropped silently to the floor. The stolen keycard worked perfectly, and soon she was moving through the facility's corridors. Her destination was the vehicle bay. She'd observed the human pilots during her time here, studied their movements, their procedures. How hard could it be to fly one of their primitive craft? Everything was going according to plan until she reached the hangar. There, working late on a sleek experimental aircraft, was someone she hadn't expected to see. Captain Marcus Chen, one of the facility's test pilots. He was bent over the engine compartment, tools scattered around him, completely absorbed in his work. Zara froze. She could try to sneak past him, but the hangar was too open, too well lit. She could knock him out, but that would trigger alarms. Her fingers tightened around the small plasma cutter she'd stolen from the maintenance department. She didn't want to hurt anyone. She just wanted to go home. Marcus must have sensed her presence because he looked up, his dark eyes widening as they met her purple ones. For a moment, neither of them moved. "Zara?" he said softly, setting down his wrench. "What are you doing here?" She raised the plasma cutter, her hand trembling slightly. "Stay back. I'm leaving." Marcus held up his hands, palms out. Okay, just let's talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about," she hissed, her accent thick with emotion. "You people imprisoned me, studied me like an animal. I want to go home." "I know," Marcus said, surprising her. "And you're right. What they did to you, it's not okay." Zara's grip on the plasma cutter wavered. She'd expected him to call for security, to try to stop her. Not this. Marcus took a careful step forward. "But stealing a ship isn't the answer. You don't know how to fly our aircraft. You'll crash before you clear the atmosphere. I've been watching. I can learn. It's not that simple." He gestured to the experimental craft behind him. "This isn't like the shuttles on your world. Our technology is different. Primitive, as your people would say." The casual admission made her blink. Most humans she'd encountered were insufferably proud of their technology, even though it was centuries behind Karathi standards. "Then teach me," she said desperately. "Or fly me yourself. Just, please. I can't stay here anymore." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, studying her. She'd noticed him before during her captivity. He was different from the scientists and guards. When he visited the xenobiology wing, he actually looked at her like she was a person, not a specimen. He'd even tried to learn a few words in Karathi, though his pronunciation was terrible. "If I help you," he said slowly, "we'll both be in serious trouble. They'll court-martial me, probably throw me in prison." "Then why would you?" "Because you're right. You don't belong in a cage." He moved to the aircraft, running his hand along its sleek hull. "This is the X-27, our latest prototype. It's fast enough to reach orbit, and it has a modified jump drive that might be able to get you to the nearest Karathi outpost. Hope flared in Zara's chest. You'll do it? You'll help me? God help me, yes. Marcus grabbed his flight jacket from a nearby chair. But we need to move fast. The next patrol comes through in 20 minutes. Zara lowered the plasma cutter, hardly daring to believe this was happening. She watched as Marcus began the pre-flight sequence, his fingers dancing over controls she'd only observed from a distance. Why? She asked as he worked. Why help me? Marcus paused, meeting her eyes. My grandmother was Japanese. She told me stories about the internment camps during World War II, about what it was like to be imprisoned just for being different. He turned back to the controls. I swore I'd never be part of something like that. Yet here I am, working for people who did the same thing to you. The cockpit canopy opened with a soft hiss. Marcus climbed in, then gestured for her to follow. It's going to be cramped. This was designed for a single pilot. Zara squeezed into the space behind the pilot's seat. It was indeed cramped, but she'd endured worse. Marcus began flipping switches, the engine humming to life with a vibration she felt in her bones. Tower, this is X-27 requesting clearance for emergency test flight, Marcus said into his headset. X-27, this is Tower. It's 2,300 hours on Christmas Eve, Captain. What's the emergency? Detected an anomaly in the port stabilizer during maintenance. Need to run a quick atmospheric test to ensure it's flight-worthy for tomorrow's demonstration. There was a pause. Copy that, X-27. You're cleared for runway 3. Keep it short, Captain. Even test pilots should be home for the holidays. Roger that, Tower. I'll make it quick. The hangar doors began to open, revealing the star-filled Nevada night. Zara's hearts raced as Marcus taxied the aircraft onto the runway. This was it. In minutes, she'd either be free or dead. The acceleration pressed her back against the seat as they hurtled down the runway. The X-27 lifted off smoothly, climbing at a steep angle that would have been impossible for conventional aircraft. The lights of the facility fell away below them, and Zara allowed herself a moment of pure joy. She was free. So, Marcus said as they climbed toward the stratosphere. Where exactly is this Karathi outpost? Zara gave him the coordinates, watching as he input them into the navigation system. The computer projected their route, a journey that would take them to the edge of the solar system. It's going to be close, Marcus muttered. We'll be running on fumes by the time we get there. If we make it halfway, I can send a distress signal. My people will come. Marcus nodded, pushing the aircraft higher. The sky darkened from deep blue to black, and the stars became brilliant points of light. Earth curved away beneath them. A blue marble swirled with white clouds. Despite everything, Zara had to admit it was beautiful. They were passing through the upper atmosphere when the alarm started blaring. What's happening? Zara asked, gripping the seat. Marcus's jaw tightened as he scanned the instruments. They've figured out we're not coming back. They're launching interceptors. On the radar screen, Zara could see 3 dots rising rapidly from the surface. Fear coiled in her stomach. Can we outrun them? In open space? Yes. But we need to clear the atmosphere first, and they're going to catch us before. The X-27 shuddered as something struck its hull. Warning lights flashed across the cockpit. Warning shot, Marcus said grimly. They're trying to force us down. Another impact, harder this time. The aircraft lurched to the side, and Marcus fought to maintain control. X-27, this is Colonel Hayes. A voice crackled over the radio. Captain Chun, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you will return to base immediately. Marcus reached for the radio, then hesitated. He looked back at Zara. I'm sorry. I tried. No, she said firmly. We're not giving up. They'll shoot us down. I can't. Marcus. She placed her hand on his shoulder, feeling the tension in his muscles. I've spent 6 months in a cage. I'd rather die free than live as a prisoner. He met her eyes in the cockpit mirror, and she saw her own determination reflected there. Without a word, he pushed the throttle forward, sending the X-27 into a steep climb. The interceptors followed, their weapons lighting up the night. Marcus jinked and weaved, using every trick he knew, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. A missile struck their starboard engine, sending them into a spin. "Hold on!" Marcus shouted, fighting the controls. The X-27 tumbled through space, Earth and stars wheeling crazily past the canopy. Zara closed her eyes, preparing for the end. At least she'd tasted freedom, however briefly. Then, unexpectedly, the spinning stopped. Marcus had somehow regained control, though half their systems were offline. They were no longer climbing but drifting, carried by momentum alone. "The engine's gone," Marcus reported. "But we're past the Kármán line. We're officially in space." The interceptors had fallen back, unable to follow them beyond the atmosphere. But their victory was hollow. Without engines, they were dead in the water, or rather, the vacuum. "Can you fix it?" Zara asked. "Not from in here. And we don't have EVA suits." Marcus checked their trajectory. "We've got maybe 6 hours of oxygen. After that." He didn't need to finish. Zara understood. They'd escaped Earth only to die in its orbit. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't have involved you in this." "Hey!" Marcus twisted in his seat to look at her directly. "I made my choice. I'd make it again." They drifted in silence for a while, watching Earth turn slowly beneath them. Despite their dire situation, there was something peaceful about it. No walls, no guards, no one watching their every move. "Tell me about your home," Marcus said suddenly. Zara was surprised by the request. "Why?" "We've got time to kill. And I'd like to know more about the place I was trying to help you reach." So she told him. She described Kiritha's crystal cities that sang in the wind, its 3 moons that danced across the lavender sky, its vast forests of silver-leafed trees. She told him about her family, her nest siblings, her parents who must think her dead by now. She spoke of her work as a cultural harmonist, helping different species understand each other through art and music. "That's how I ended up on that transport," she explained. "I was traveling to a conference on Centauri Prime. The ship was attacked by raiders. They took everyone with marketable traits." "I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. "That must have been terrifying." "It was. But do you know what was worse? When your people rescued me, I thought I was safe. Then they put me in a different kind of cage and called it protection." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Humans, we have a bad habit of thinking we know what's best for everyone. We see something different and our first instinct is to control it, study it, own it." "Not all humans," Zara said, looking at him meaningfully. He gave a rueful smile. "Maybe not all, but enough." A soft beeping interrupted their conversation. Marcus checked the instruments, frowning. "What is it?" Zara asked. "Proximity alert. Something's approaching." He studied the radar. "It's big. Really big." Zara's heart skipped. Could it be? A massive ship materialized out of the void, its crystalline hull reflecting starlight in prismatic patterns. It was unmistakably Karathi. "By the 3 moons," Zara breathed. "It's the Harmony's dawn. That's a diplomatic cruiser." The X-27's communication system crackled to life. A melodious voice spoke in Karathi, and Zara responded eagerly, tears streaming down her face. "What are they saying?" Marcus asked. "They received my distress signal. They've been searching for me." She paused, listening. "They want to know who you are." "What should I tell them?" Marcus considered. "Tell them the truth. That I'm the idiot human who thought he could fly a broken ship to the edge of the solar system." Zara laughed despite everything. It was the first time she'd truly laughed in 6 months. She relayed a more diplomatic version of his words. The Karathi ship extended a docking tube, capturing the X-27 in a stasis field. Within minutes, they were aboard, surrounded by Zara's people. She was immediately swept into embraces, her language flowing around her like music. Marcus stood awkwardly to the side, very aware that he was the only human on a ship full of aliens who had every reason to distrust his species. But then Zara was there, pulling him forward. "This is Marcus Chen," she announced in accented English. "He risked everything to help me escape. He is..." He is Teterwenenka. A murmur ran through the gathered Karathi. Marcus looked at Zara questioningly. It means heart friend, she explained. Someone who puts another's freedom above their own safety. It's a sacred concept to us. The ship's commander, an elderly Karathi with silver-streaked violet skin, approached Marcus. Captain Chun, she said in careful English. We are in your debt. How can we repay you? Marcus glanced at Zara, then back at the commander. Just take care of her. Get her home safe. That is already done. But surely you wish something for yourself? Your people will not welcome you back after this. That was an understatement. Marcus had committed treason, stolen classified technology, and attacked fellow pilots. He'd be lucky if he only got life in prison. I don't suppose you're hiring? He said with a weak smile. The commander's eyes crinkled, the Karathi equivalent of a smile. Perhaps we can discuss possibilities. But first, we must leave the system before your military arrives. As the crew prepared for departure, Zara pulled Marcus aside. You could really stay? Leave Earth behind. Earth is just a place, Marcus said. Home is, well, it's wherever you choose to make it. The cultural exchange program always needs pilots, Zara said quickly. And I could teach you proper Karathi. Your pronunciation really is terrible. Thanks, Marcus said dryly. Then, more seriously, Zara, I don't want you to feel obligated. You don't owe me anything. I know. She took his hand, her 6 fingers wrapping around his 5. But maybe I want to. Maybe I've spent so much time hating your world that I forgot not everyone on it deserves that hate. Maybe you can help me remember that. The ship shuddered slightly as its engines engaged. Through a nearby viewport, Marcus watched Earth begin to shrink. Everything he'd ever known was on that blue marble. His family, his career, his entire life. But looking at Zara, seeing the hope in her purple eyes, he felt no regret. So, he said, tell me more about these singing cities. As the Harmony's dawn jumped to hyperspace, leaving Earth far behind, Zara began to speak. She told him about the musical architecture, the way each building was tuned to a different note, creating symphonies when the wind blew just right. She described the Aurora Falls, where light itself seemed to flow like water, and the Whispering Desert, where the sand preserved the echoes of ancient songs. Marcus listened, entranced. He'd spent his whole life looking up at the stars, wondering what was out there. Now, finally, he was going to find out. You know, Zara said as stars streaked past the viewport, there's an old Karathi proverb. The cage that holds the body cannot contain the spirit. What does it mean? It means that freedom isn't just about where you are. It's about who you're with and who you choose to be. She squeezed his hand. Today you chose to be free. Both of us did. Marcus squeezed back. No regrets. No regrets. As they jumped between stars, heading toward a world of singing cities and silver forests, neither of them looked back. Earth grew distant, but freedom, true freedom, traveled with them. The intercom chimed, and the commander's voice filled the corridor. Attention all passengers and crew. We will arrive at Kirith in approximately 7 cycles. Captain Chun, please report to the bridge for preliminary flight training on our navigation systems. Marcus grinned. Guess I better go learn how to fly a real spaceship. Their technology is centuries ahead of Earth's, Zara warned. It won't be easy. After tonight, I think I can handle it. As he headed for the bridge, Zara called after him. Marcus. He turned back. Thank you for seeing me as a person, not just an alien. Thank you, he replied, for reminding me what it means to be human. The ship sang with harmonic vibrations as it traveled through hyperspace, carrying 2 unlikely friends toward a new beginning. Behind them, Earth spun on, unaware that it had lost a pilot but gained an ambassador. Ahead lay Kirith, where crystal cities caught the light of 3 moons and anything was possible. Zara had hated Earth. She had hated its cages, its arrogance, its fear of the different. But one human had changed that. One human had shown her that even in the darkest places, compassion could bloom. That understanding could bridge any gap, no matter how vast. As the stars wheeled by, she thought about the report she would write for the Karathi Council. She would tell them about Earth's crimes, yes, but she would also tell them about Marcus Chen, who chose justice over comfort, freedom over safety, friendship over fear. Perhaps there was hope for humanity after all. The journey to Kirith took 3 days by hyperspace. During that time, Marcus threw himself into learning Karathi technology with the same determination he'd once applied to mastering experimental aircraft. The Karathi pilots were patient teachers, amused by his enthusiasm and impressed by his quick grasp of concepts that most humans would find incomprehensible. Zara spent her time in the medical bay, having the tracking implants removed and the damage from months of invasive testing repaired. But she also found herself seeking out Marcus during meal times, helping him navigate Karathi cuisine and customs. "This is Vrex," she explained, indicating a luminescent blue dish. "It's a traditional welcome food. Fair warning, it's going to taste like your mint combined with black pepper." Marcus tried it and immediately reached for water. "That's intense. You'll get used to it, or you'll stick to the bland protein cubes in the human section." "There's a human section?" "Of course. We're not barbarians. We've had human visitors before, diplomatic envoys, traders, the occasional refugee." She paused. "You won't be the only human on Kirith, if that worries you." "Honestly, it's a relief." Marcus pushed the Vrex around his plate. "I keep thinking about what happens next, after the heroic rescue, after the dramatic escape. What does a human military pilot do on an alien world?" "Whatever you want," Zara said simply. "That's what freedom means." On the 3rd day, they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Karathi system. Marcus was on the bridge, having earned the privilege through his dedication to his studies. As the view screen cleared, he gasped. 3 moons hung in the lavender sky, their orbits so perfectly synchronized they seemed to dance. And below them, Kirith itself gleamed like a jewel. Even from space, he could see the crystal cities, their spires catching and refracting light in impossible patterns. "Welcome to Kirith, Marcus Chen," the commander said formally. "May you find here what you could not find on Earth." The landing was smooth, the spaceport a marvel of organic architecture that seemed to have grown rather than been built. As they disembarked, Zara's family was waiting. The reunion was emotional, with much singing and embracing. Marcus hung back, not wanting to intrude, but Zara pulled him forward. "This is Marcus," she announced. "He brought me home." Her parents, tall, elegant beings with the same violet skin, regarded him with a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. Her mother stepped forward, speaking careful English. "You gave up your world for our daughter's freedom. This debt cannot be repaid." "There's no debt," Marcus assured her. "I did what anyone should have done." "But not what anyone would have done," her father observed. "You are welcome in our home, Marcus Chen, for as long as you wish." The next few weeks passed in a blur. Marcus found lodging in the human quarter of the city, a small but comfortable community of expatriates who'd come to Kirith for various reasons. Some were traders, some were scholars, and more than a few were refugees from Earth's less tolerant societies. He started working with the Cultural Exchange Program, using his piloting skills to ferry diplomats and researchers between worlds. It was similar to his old job, but with a crucial difference. He was building bridges, not walls. Zara returned to her work as a cultural harmonist, but they met often. She showed him the wonders of her world. The singing cliffs where wind and stone created natural symphonies, the floating gardens that defied gravity through harmonic resonance, the ancient libraries where knowledge was stored in crystallized sound. One evening, as Kiritha's 3 moons rose in their eternal dance, they stood on an observation platform overlooking the city. The spires below hummed with life, their crystalline surfaces painting the night with color. "Do you miss it?" Zara asked. "Earth?" Marcus considered. "I miss some things. My sister's laugh. Real coffee. Thunderstorms." He smiled. "But I don't miss what it had become. What we had become." "The council wants to lodge a formal protest about my imprisonment," Zara said. "Some want to break off diplomatic relations entirely." What do you want? She was quiet for a long moment. I want to believe that Earth can change, that what happened to me won't happen to others. But I don't know if that's naive. Maybe it is, Marcus admitted. But maybe that's okay. Someone has to believe in the possibility of change, or it'll never happen. Is that why you helped me? Because you believed things could be different. I helped you because it was right. But yeah, maybe I also hoped it would matter. That one person doing the right thing could make a difference. Zara leaned against him, a gesture of comfort that transcended species. It did make a difference. To me. They watched the moons dance, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Zara spoke again. I've been asked to return to Earth. Marcus straightened. What? As part of a diplomatic envoy. To negotiate new protocols for first contact situations. To make sure what happened to me doesn't happen to anyone else. She looked at him. I want to go. But I'm scared. Of course you are. Last time you went to Earth, they put you in a cage. But last time, I didn't have a human pilot watching my back. Marcus turned to face her fully. Are you asking me to come with you? Would you? I know it's a lot to ask. You're a fugitive there. But with diplomatic immunity, you'd be protected. And I'd feel safer with you there. Marcus thought about it. Returning to Earth meant facing what he'd done, even with diplomatic protection. It meant confronting a world that might not be ready to change. But it also meant a chance to be part of that change. When do we leave? He asked. Zara's smile was brighter than all 3 moons combined. 6 months later, they stood in the United Nations building in New York. Zara wore the formal robes of a Karathi diplomat, their fabric shimmering with colors that had no human names. Marcus stood beside her in his new role as cultural liaison, wearing a suit that combined human and Karathi design elements. The assembly hall was packed. The story of Zara's imprisonment and dramatic escape had become public, sparking protests and soul-searching across Earth. Her presence here, willing to negotiate despite what had been done to her, was seen as either an act of incredible forgiveness or naive folly, depending on who you asked. Distinguished representatives, Zara began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. 6 months ago, I was a prisoner on your world. I was taken against my will, held without trial, and subjected to experiments that violated every principle of dignity and consent. Uncomfortable murmur ran through the crowd. I hated Earth then, she continued. I hated everything about your world and your species. But then something unexpected happened. A human, one of your own, chose to help me. He sacrificed everything he had built here to give me back my freedom. And in doing so, he taught me something important. She paused, making eye contact with as many delegates as she could. He taught me that worlds don't define people. Choices do. Captain Marcus Chun chose compassion over comfort, justice over security. And if one human can make that choice, then perhaps others can too. The Canadian delegate was the first to stand and applaud. Others followed, slowly at first, then in a wave that filled the hall. Not everyone joined in. Some sat with arms crossed, skeptical of this alien's words. But enough stood that Zara felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. The negotiations took weeks. There were setbacks, arguments, moments when everything seemed ready to fall apart. But gradually, progress was made. New protocols were established. Oversight committees were formed. Most importantly, Earth formally apologized for what had been done to Zara and promised reparations. Through it all, Marcus was there, bridging the gap between human stubbornness and Karathi idealism. His unique position, human by birth, Karathi by choice, made him an invaluable mediator. On their last night on Earth, they stood on the roof of their hotel, looking out over the city lights. Tomorrow they would return to Kirith, their mission complete. You did it, Marcus said. You actually got them to listen. We did it, Zara corrected. I couldn't have done this without you. Sure you could have. You're stronger than you know. Strength isn't always about what you can do alone. Sometimes it's about knowing when to accept help. She took his hand. You taught me that too. They stood in comfortable silence, watching aircraft trace paths through the night sky. Both of them had changed so much since that desperate night in Nevada. They'd found friendship in the most unlikely circumstances, bridging a gap between worlds with nothing but trust and determination. "So what's next?" Marcus asked. "More diplomatic missions? Back to your cultural harmony work?" "Actually," Zara said, a smile playing at her lips, "I've been offered a new position, Director of the Interspecies Understanding Initiative. It's a new program designed to prevent misunderstandings and conflicts between different races." "That sounds perfect for you. The thing is, I'll need a co-director, someone who understands both human and Karathi perspectives, someone who's proven they can bridge seemingly impossible divides." She looked at him meaningfully. "Interested?" Marcus grinned. "Do I get to fly?" "You get to fly ships most humans have never even dreamed of." "Then I'm in." As they headed back inside, Zara paused at the door. "You know, I spent so long hating this world, but now I see it differently. It's not perfect. It's got a long way to go, but it's trying. And that's what matters." "Change takes time," Marcus agreed, "but it starts with individuals making choices. One person at a time, one decision at a time. Like a human pilot choosing to save an alien girl? Like an alien girl choosing to forgive a world that wronged her." They smiled at each other, two unlikely friends who'd found each other across the vast gulf of space and prejudice. Tomorrow they would return to Kirith and begin their new work. There would be challenges, setbacks, moments of doubt. But tonight, standing on a world that had once been a prison and was now just another stop on their journey, they knew they could face whatever came next. Because they'd learned the most important lesson of all. Understanding doesn't come from studying someone in a cage. It comes from setting them free and choosing to fly alongside them, no matter where the journey leads. The stars wheeled overhead, indifferent to the small dramas of the beings below. But for two souls who'd found freedom in each other's courage, those stars no longer seemed cold and distant. They seemed like possibilities. 5 years had passed since that night on the hotel roof. The Interspecies Understanding Initiative had grown from a bold idea into a vital bridge between worlds. Its headquarters on Kirith's second moon served as neutral ground where species from across the galaxy could meet, learn, and resolve conflicts before they escalated. Marcus stood in the observation deck, watching a Threnodai delegation's ship dock. The crystalline beings were notoriously difficult to communicate with, their language based on light frequencies rather than sound. It would be a challenging assignment, but that's what the initiative was for, tackling the impossible. "Nervous?" Zara asked, joining him at the window. She wore the silver robes of a director, the fabric seeming to shift between solid and liquid as she moved. "Always," Marcus admitted. "But that's good. Keeps me sharp." "The Threnodai ambassador specifically requested you," she said. "Word of the human who speaks for the stars has spread far." Marcus snorted. "Is that what they're calling me now?" "Among other things. The Vengari call you the Bridgewalker. The Epsilon Collective refers to you as Pattern Breaker." She smiled. "My personal favorite is what the younglings at the Academy call you, the human who stayed." Before Marcus could respond, his communicator chimed. The message made him frown. "What is it?" Zara asked. "Priority message from Earth. From Colonel Hayes." Zara stiffened. Hayes had been the one who ordered their ship shot down during their escape. Though the diplomatic accords had granted Marcus immunity, there was no love lost between them. Marcus opened the message and read it twice before looking up. "There's been an incident. A Meldoran scout ship crashed in the Pacific. The pilot survived, but Earth forces have her in custody. Hayes is asking for our help." Asking? Or demanding? Hard to tell with Hayes, but he used the proper diplomatic channels, so it's an official request. Zara was already moving toward the door. "I'll prep a ship. How long since the crash?" 48 hours. She cursed in Karathi, a sound like breaking crystal. "The Meldorans can't survive in Earth's atmosphere for more than 72 hours without their biosuits. We need to move fast." Within an hour, they were aboard the initiative's fastest diplomatic courier, jumping through hyperspace toward Earth. Marcus piloted while Zara reviewed everything they knew about Meldoran physiology and culture. They're aquatic, she explained. Their home world is mostly ocean, with an atmosphere rich in methane and ammonia. Earth's oxygen is basically poison to them. And Earth forces have had her for 2 days already. Marcus's jaw tightened. Let's hope they've learned from past mistakes. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's system, immediately transmitting diplomatic credentials. The response was swift. They were cleared for immediate approach to the facility in Alaska where the Meldoran was being held. The place was different from the Nevada facility where Zara had been imprisoned, but Marcus recognized the same military efficiency, the same blend of science and security. Colonel Hayes met them at the landing pad, his face showing 5 years of additional wear. "Captain Chun," he said stiffly. "Ms. Zara." "It's Director Zara," Marcus corrected. "And I'm not a captain anymore. We're here representing the Interspecies Understanding Initiative." Hayes's expression suggested what he thought of that, but he kept it professional. "This way, the subject is in medical isolation." "Her name?" Zara asked as they walked. "She hasn't been able to communicate. The translator programs can't make sense of her language, and she's too weak for the neural interfaces." They entered the medical wing and Marcus's heart sank. Through an observation window, he could see the Meldoran in a standard hospital bed, completely unsuited to her physiology. Her blue-green skin had dulled to a sickly gray, and the gill slits on her neck fluttered weakly. "She's dying," Zara said flatly. "You have her in open air. She needs a methane-ammonia mix, and she needs it now." "We've tried," Dr. Kepler, the chief medical officer, insisted, "but she keeps removing the breathing apparatus. We think she's delirious." Marcus studied the scene, then looked at the monitoring equipment. "What's that frequency she's generating?" "Some kind of bioelectric field. All Meldorans have it, apparently. We've been trying to suppress it. It's been interfering with our equipment." "You've been suppressing her natural communication method," Zara said, horror in her voice. "That would be like putting a human in a soundproof room and wondering why they can't talk." "We need to get in there," Marcus said. "Now." Hayes stepped forward. "Absolutely not. We don't know if she's hostile." "She's scared and dying," Marcus interrupted. "Every second we waste arguing is a second less she has to live. Either let us help, or explain to the Meldoran Collective why their scout died in Earth custody." Hayes's face went through several expressions before he nodded curtly to Dr. Kepler. "Do it." They suited up quickly, Zara adjusting her biosuit to generate complementary frequencies to the Meldoran's natural emissions. Marcus carried a portable atmosphere generator, already mixing the proper blend of gases. The Meldoran's eyes, all 4 of them, tracked their movement as they entered. Up close, Marcus could see the delicate patterns on her skin, like oil on water, that indicated severe distress. "Hello," Zara said softly, modulating her voice to carry subharmonics the Meldoran could understand. "We're here to help. My name is Zara, and this is Marcus. We're from the Initiative." The Meldoran's gills fluttered, and a weak bioelectric pulse washed over them. Zara's suit translated it roughly, "Home. Far. Scared." "You're safe now," Marcus said, setting up the atmosphere generator. "We're going to make you more comfortable, then we'll contact your people." As the methane-ammonia mix began flowing, the change was immediate. The Meldoran's skin began regaining its blue-green hue, and her bioelectric field strengthened. "I am." Streams through starlight. The translation came through more clearly. "My ship. Malfunction. Didn't mean to violate territory." "It's all right," Zara soothed. "No one's angry. There was just a misunderstanding." Over the next hour, they stabilized streams through starlight and heard her story. She was a young explorer, mapping stellar phenomena when her ship's drive core failed. Earth was the nearest habitable world, or at least habitable to the humans she'd heard about. "Didn't know. Atmosphere wrong." She pulsed weakly. "Thought all oxygen breathers. Same." "Common mistake," Marcus said, checking her vitals. "Humans make it all the time too." By the time streams through starlight was stable enough for transport, a Meldoran diplomatic vessel had arrived. The reunion was emotional, with bioelectric fields creating visible aurora in the air as the Meldorans embraced their lost scout. The Meldoran ambassador, a being who introduced herself as Depth of Ancient Seas, turned to address Colonel Hayes. "Your people saved our young one," she pulsed, the translation formal and grave. "But they also nearly killed her through ignorance. Which weighs heavier?" "Both," Zara said before Hayes could respond. "That's why the initiative exists, to turn ignorance into understanding, fear into knowledge." Depth of Ancient Seas considered this, her 4 eyes studying Zara intently. "You speak wisdom. We will remember this." She turned to Hayes. "Your world shows promise. Clumsy still, like a newborn swimming in the shallows. But learning." After the Meldorans departed, Hayes walked Marcus and Zara back to their ship. The colonel was unusually quiet until they reached the landing pad. "I owe you an apology," he said abruptly. "Both of you. 5 years ago I was wrong. I followed orders I should have questioned." Marcus was too surprised to respond immediately. Zara found her voice first. "What changed your mind?" Hayes looked uncomfortable. "My daughter. She's studying xenobiology now, inspired by what happened with you. She asks me hard questions. Like why we were so afraid of someone who just wanted to go home." He met Zara's eyes. "I didn't have good answers. The fact that you're asking the questions at all is what matters," Zara said. "That's how change happens." Hayes nodded, then turned to Marcus. "The charges against you were dropped 2 years ago. Quietly but officially. You're no longer a fugitive. I thought you should know." Marcus felt something ease in his chest. A tension he'd carried so long he'd forgotten it was there. "Thank you." As Hayes walked away, Zara took Marcus's arm. "How does it feel, knowing you could come home if you wanted?" Marcus looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere among them was Kirith, was the initiative, was the life they'd built together. "I am home," he said simply. They were preparing for departure when an alert came through on Zara's communicator. Her expression grew grave as she read it. "What now?" Marcus asked. "Remember the Threnodai delegation we were supposed to meet? They've cancelled. There's been an incident on the border between Threnodai Space and the Vengari Protectorate. Ships are massing on both sides." Marcus was already running pre-flight calculations. "How long to get there?" "Too long if we go directly. But," she pulled up a star chart, "if we use the initiative's emergency jump beacon network, we could be there in 6 hours. That's never been tested with a ship this size. First time for everything." She strapped into the co-pilot's seat. "Unless you've gotten risk-averse in your old age?" Marcus grinned, the years falling away until they were just 2 rebels in a stolen ship again. "Never." The jump beacon network was Zara's innovation. A series of hyperspace amplifiers that could boost a ship's jump capability exponentially. The ride was rough, space-time bending in ways that made Marcus's teeth ache. But it worked. They emerged in the contested zone to find a powder keg waiting for a spark. Threnodai crystal ships faced off against Vengari biovessels, weapons powered but not yet firing. "Both fleets are responding to our diplomatic beacon," Zara reported. "They're willing to talk, but neither side will power down first." Classic standoff. Marcus studied the tactical display. What started this? A mining dispute. There's an asteroid rich in rare elements that both sides claim. The legal precedent is murky. It always is. Marcus opened a broad-spectrum channel. "This is the Interspecies Understanding Initiative Vessel Harmony Bridge. We're positioning ourselves directly between both fleets. Any shot fired will have to go through us first." "Marcus," Zara hissed. "What are you doing?" "Something stupid," he admitted, guiding their ship exactly between the 2 battle lines. But sometimes stupid works. For long moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, both fleets began powering down their weapons. The negotiations took place aboard the Harmony Bridge, with Threnodai light speech translated into Vengari biorhythms and vice versa. It was exhausting work, each species communicating in fundamentally different ways, but gradually, understanding emerged. The asteroid, it turned out, held religious significance for both species. The Threnodidae saw it as a fragment of their first star, while the Vengari believed it was an egg from their great mother. The mining dispute was really a clash of cosmologies. So make it a shared sacred site, Marcus suggested during a break. Neither side minds it. Both sides protect it. The precedent, the Vengari negotiator began. Will be whatever we make it, Zara interrupted. That's what precedents are for, creating new solutions for new problems. Took another 12 hours, but eventually, an agreement was reached. The asteroid would become the first interspecies sacred trust, jointly administered and protected. What had nearly been a war became a partnership. As the fleets dispersed, the Threnodidae ambassador pulsed a private message to Marcus, a pattern of light that Zara's translator rendered as gratitude beyond wavelengths. You realize what we just did? Zara asked as they set course back to the initiative. We created a new form of interstellar law. The sacred trust concept could prevent dozens of conflicts. We'll need a bigger staff, Marcus mused. Legal experts, cultural anthropologists, probably a few xenotheologists. Already making a list. She was quiet for a moment. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? If you hadn't been working late that night? If I'd chosen a different escape route? All the time. But then I remember something my grandmother used to say. The threads of fate are woven by the choices we make. We made our choices. And look where they led us. Zara smiled. To the stars. To each other, Marcus corrected. The stars were just a bonus. As they jumped back into hyperspace, heading home to the initiative and the next crisis that awaited them, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. A frightened alien girl and a disillusioned human pilot, thrown together by desperate circumstances, had somehow become the galaxy's most effective diplomatic team. They'd prevented wars, saved lives, and built bridges between species that had never before communicated. But more than that, they'd proven that understanding was possible, that fear could be overcome, that even the deepest hatred could be transformed into hope. The communication panel lit up with new requests. A first contact situation in the Magellanic Cloud, a trade dispute between 3 different silicon-based species, a mysterious signal that might be from an entirely unknown civilization. Ready for another adventure? Zara asked. Marcus reached over and squeezed her hand. Still 5 fingers to her 6, still different species, still the best friend he'd ever had. Always. The stars streaked past, each one a sun, each sun warming worlds, each world teeming with life in all its infinite diversity. And somewhere among them, 2 unlikely partners continued their work, one crisis at a time, one understanding at a time, proving that the galaxy was vast enough for everyone. The hate that had once burned in Zara's heart had long since transformed into something else. Not just forgiveness, but purpose. She'd hated Earth until a human pilot saved her life. Now, she spent her days saving others, human and alien alike. And Marcus? He'd found what he'd never known he was looking for. A cause worth fighting for, a partner worth trusting, and a home among the stars. Their story had begun with a desperate escape. It continued with every life they touched, every conflict they resolved, every bridge they built between worlds. And in the vast, infinite cosmos, their work was just beginning.